All right, welcome to Wealth Cartel Legends, where we talk about how hindsight is a motherfucker.
Our mission, guys, is to stop people saying, I wish I had listened, and to help people to capitalise on everyone else's mistakes before making them yourself.
Yeah, in summary, our tagline says it all. Turn our hindsight into your foresight so you don't have to make the same mistakes that we did.
That's a $20 fucking glass of scotch because they wouldn't let us have a shot. We're actually at Bella Vista Hotel, guys, by the way. We should give them a shout out there.
Posted, we do tag them, yeah. Bella Vista Hotel shout out. We should put in our intro, actually.
Yeah, they're letting us recording here for free. The light, we need to fix the lighting, but other than that, we're pretty good.
So, welcome to, what are we, episode 4-ish, 5?
Episode 4, yeah.
Episode 4. Today's guest, we've got Charles Joyner. Welcome.
The chosen one.
The chosen one. We're launching today that he's the chosen one.
Look at that light still on.
Yeah, look at Jesus has chosen him. And maybe Lucifer's chosen him, who knows. So Charles is a two-time amateur super light heavyweight kickboxing undefeated champion who's just turned pro. And he won that as well, so we're going to say he's still undefeated. Yeah. Fights out of Evolution Gym as well as in the Ethos Performance Team, which a few of our guests have used as well. Welcome, mate. Welcome to the podcast. How's things?
Yeah, good. Obviously, things at the moment have been a bit different times, obviously, for everyone. But yeah, no, things are good, just chipping away and trying to improve wherever I can. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Are you in a camp at the moment?
Not in it. Well, I'm helping out Ty Tuivasa for his one of his camps, so which has been good because it means I can just stay focused and get some good sparring in and keep training well. So
you spar with Ty?
Yeah. But no, it's good. Like I find when the more experienced you are, the more controlled you can be. Do you know what I mean? Like normally when I get injured with sparring, it's when I'm sparring people that are beginners. Yeah. Because they just sort of do weird movements and will lash out and then hit your knee. Yeah. No, they'll get hit and they want to come straight back. But when you're with more experienced people, you can understand the value you can bring to each other.
Mark Hunt was saying that in one of these things in a few of his camps that's happened. Like he'll get younger people in and they'll start throwing hands and he's like, whoa.
Yeah,
don't hurt me, man.
See that Justin Gaethje head kick the other day?
No.
In training.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it, no.
Look that up. He's training, sparring someone, I don't know who it is. It looks like a nobody. And the dude just sort of gets in close and Gaethje drops his hands and he head kicks him with a left. Like he got pads on. Yeah. But bro, like ate it, fully ate it, and like the dude backed up with his hands up like fuck. So
really?
Like he freaked because he obviously was light training. Yeah. I don't think he thought he was going to get him, and he just shocked himself. Bro, snapped his head back, ate it, face first. And
did Gaethje do anything?
Nah, like he just shaped back. Like it would have dropped a lot of people, bro. Like that, he's a meathead, bro. That bloke, he's a fucking weapon, eh?
Easy, I love him. Have you seen Rockhold and stuff spar as well?
I know they go hard.
Yeah, ridiculous, man. Like,
that's why they're always injured.
Yeah, that's why he's got no chin.
Exactly,
He's getting dropped in
trainer. But there's a lot of them, eh? Like a lot of that goes on in certain gyms and stuff. I read a lot in regards to because that intrigues me more than I love the fight, but the training and the method of training moving forward intrigues me as much as the fight because I want to know. When you play footy, you don't bash your own teammates, but when you go out there, you're expected to bash someone. When you fight, are you fucking bashing each other?
Well, Max Holloway reckons in his last camp for COVID, he had no sparring. It's the best camp he's ever had.
Yeah, but I mean, once you're that experienced and you've had maybe however many fights and you've been world champ, or maybe you don't need to spar, but like coming up, obviously you're bashing each other like Valborg. But like when they spar, I've been live watching him spar against people that are his friends, and I'm like,
we've got the man here. What do you reckon? How do you fight in your camps?
Well, no, exactly like you said. When you're coming up, you need to have hard rounds because you don't want your first time you get hit hard to be in a fight. Like, oh shit, that's what it is. But no, exactly. Like when you get more experience, you learn how to like still have a good intensity but control it.
Yeah.
But it also depends on this because boxing. I know that most boxing gyms and most fighters, they will spar pretty much 100%. And there's people getting dropped left, right, and center. But with MMA and kickboxing, I think it's a little bit different because there's just more places to hit and there's way more ways that you can pick up injuries as well. So it's with boxing, with the sparring, you probably don't get injured as much because everything's padded and you know what I mean.
Well, you're only covering your head and your body, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly,
you're not covering up your legs and
The other thing with MMA that's hard is that with is kickboxing still got elbows?
Not K1. Yeah, so it's knee. So the style I do is boxing, kicks and knees.
Yeah, cool. Because then I know, like in MMA, no one ever drops knees and elbows in sparring, and then they get into a fight, and you got these razor blades coming at your head.
I do sometimes drop knees.
Accidentally or?
Depends how much I'm getting bashed.
Yeah, you look like you'd be a knee type of bloke.
Yeah,
like those big ranges.
But you notice it as well, especially like with the elbow, especially Muay Thai and stuff. Like when they spar in Muay Thai, they use a lot more elbows because they control it. But you can tell the difference when they're going to clinch in a fight in an actual match, like an actual competition fucking rounds. People are out of the clinch, they kind of, it's like they feel like they're still sparring, they'll just like break, and then you get those good ones that'll come off the clinch, and you're thinking, you didn't practice that one.
That elbow from hell, you see that
elbow?
That Matt Brown.
The one where he just flattens it.
Yeah, like he like sort of breaks, and the dude just goes, oh yeah, finished, and he just threw that elbow and ended him. I remember watching a fight years ago, it was Steve McKinnon versus...
We're just chatting about him.
Steve McKinnon versus fucking, what's the gun from the Gold Coast? Corbett. And they just were elbowing each other, bro. And there was like, we were ringside. So the dude that I used to plaster with, he lived with McKinnon. He was his mate. So they got tickets, right? And there was blood going on people in the side of the ring, bro. And they called the fight. That was the best fight. They called the fight off because of a cut. And both of them were in the ring fucking blowing up, going, let us fucking fight. Like, it was unreal, eh?
Yeah, freak. Do you know Sam Greco much?
I don't know him personally, but I know of him. Yeah,
he was K1, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's training Jimmy Crude at the moment.
Yeah. I like Jimmy Crude.
Jimmy's a freak. He's a madman. No, the country boy, he's a madman.
I like his attitude. He
changed a lot, because I worked a bit with his manager Reese from Rival before Reese left, and he was telling me about him, and I said, man, he's just a bit loose, eh? Like he's a bit loose. But then he went away when he lost. And he said to Reese, like, I need to turn into more of a professional. Yeah. And he did. And that last fight that he just won, where he came back, he looked unbelievable. Like
I don't know who that is.
Jimmy Crude. Yeah, I'll look him up. He's light heavyweight. Yeah. Tyson Pedro overshadowed him. Everyone followed Tyson, but Jimmy was
it's sort of hard in the sport. I spoke about that with Arlene. When you're a footy player, there's 16 sides, 17 top grade players. Like that's a fucking lot of players. Yeah. You can be top, say 300, and you get a good contract or a decent contract. With the fighters out of Oz, you got to be top. Yeah.
No, he until Tyson lost. When Tyson lost, people started watching Jimmy a bit. But he was the dark horse. He's just a banger, eh? Just stands there and bangs.
The brute.
Yeah, the
brute.
The brute.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back on the agenda. So we've introed you a little bit, but give us a bit of an intro to you. How would you intro yourself? Who are you? Where you're from?
Yeah. I think in the fighting world, I think my story is probably a bit different, because I didn't go the conventional route that a fighter would go. After school, went into uni, because that's what was expected of me, was doing a law and commerce degree, and was working towards that. But for me, there was just no passion in it. It was literally just this is what parents expect of you. This is what is considered to be a good career path. So I started working towards that, and then I was just realizing that it wasn't for me. So it got to the point where I thought, hey, what do I want to do with life? We got one life to live. The most important thing to me is waking up each day and being happy with what I'm doing, So I just started kickboxing really, and I thought I was really getting into it, really enjoying it. So I decided to start pursuing that. Just started training hard, and really just completely reformulated my life around the goals that I'd set in kickboxing, which are quite lofty now. They just first started off as being a professional kickboxer, but now they've, like world champion, all those sort of things. And basically the past 4 years, my whole life has just completely become about kickboxing.
So when did you go full-time kickboxing?
So full-time kickboxing, I finished uni 2018, but...
So you completed your degree?
Yeah, finished the degree.
Oh, look out. Yeah. we got a scrapping lawyer here.
You got to come that'll bash her, then fucking representing counter sue criminal lawyer.
You can't get me on any grounds. Yeah. But the thing with me was when I made the decision that this is what I was going to do, I wanted to finish my degree, but I made sure that I was training like a professional. You know what I mean? So I'd say I was full-time kickboxing probably from about 2017, just training full time hard. And I probably tapered down how much I was training, because I was definitely overtraining at first, and that there was no balance there whatsoever. Like I was just burning the candle at both ends. But yeah, and then had a good amateur career, went undefeated, sort of beat everyone there was to beat in the amateurs in my weight class, and then made the decision to go pro at the start of the year. Obviously, things are on hold at the moment, but yeah, that sort of.
Well, so who got the world's longest champion?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Utilize it, bro. Don't look at it as a bad thing. Utilize it. So where's home? Like, where's home for you? Where'd you grow up as a kid?
So I was born in England. Lived there.
I heard a little bit of it.
I was wondering,
just a little bit.
It wasn't enough to be like, hey,
yeah. I don't even. We're only taking Aussies on this podcast, bro. You're gonna have to fucking leave.
I'll see myself there. But So born in England, and then dad was in the Navy, so he was sort of getting loads of different foreign postings. Moved to Malaysia for 3 years. Lived there from 6 till 9. Then went to Gibraltar, which is like a little British territory at the bottom of Spain. Was there for about a year and a half, and then came to Australia when I was 10, just about 10, 11. So I've been here 15, 14 years now, and then lived in Cartel pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, right.
Nice and local.
Yeah, Hills boy.
Yeah,
Hills boy out of Gibraltar. I don't even know how to say it. I've never heard of that place before, bro. So childhood. That's. I mean, it's pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
I think a lot of kids don't understand. Like, it would have been cool, would have been hard as well, I suppose, moving around a lot. But
you know what? Because it was a young age, it made our family really close, and it made me really good at just not forgetting, but leaving everything behind where I was, and then just being, okay, now we're moving here, and then focusing on that.
No attachment issues here.
Yeah, that's
a good way to look at it, bro. That's a positive. It's a real positive way to look at things. I mean, we're big on that. We're big on leaving the shit in the past and sort of moving forward. And we touch on nearly every podcast the fact that a lot of your mental health issues come from stewing on shit that happened before instead of looking forward. So it happened, and everyone knows it happens. Mm. But at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do to change it. So you've got to get past it. A lot of people have that issue of they can't let go. So I mean, that's massive early on.
How long were you in Malaysia for?
3 years.
3 years. There's another mate of mine who, because I was in the army. So another mate of mine who was in the army who lives in the hills as well. We'll probably end up getting him on here as well. You got the commendation for gallantry when we served, when he went over to Afghan. So but his dad was military as well, and he lived in Malaysia as a kid for a few years as well. So it probably would have been the same. Whereabouts was it?
In KL, Kuala Lumpur.
Okay, you're in KL. No, he was down at I think he was in Butterfringi.
Okay.
I think he's down
that way. You're saying these places, man. I'm pretty well around. I don't know where the fuck Butterfringi is.
You don't want to go to Butterfringi. It's horrible, bro.
I don't know. I don't know those places.
KL's nice. KL's good.
It's a cool place.
Tech heavy.
Yeah. I think it was we were there when it was at a transition. Oh, no, it was like when you go back now, it's quite different because we were there 01 to 04, but we sort of lived that like the military lifestyle there, which was good.
Was it on a base or?
No, it was he worked in the embassy, the British embassy, because he was with the British Navy at that time. Yeah. And we lived in a apartment block, and it was cool. There was like loads of kids my age in the apartment block, so it was just all
military kids.
A lot of like expats. So a lot of people, like their parents were doing foreign posting. Yeah. So just from all different cultures, all just in this apartment block, and then there was this cool area down the bottom, and you just go down there, and then like the kids from Sweden would come down, you'd hang out with them, and the kids from Australia.
That's a cool way to grow up, multicultural, bro. It's a cool way to grow up without any sort of color in your eyes and racism, shit like that. Growing up like that,
100%. And that was the norm for me because I was so young. So it was that was a great experience. I think it shaped me now for sure as well.
Seen a cool meme yesterday. I went to send over to you about. No, I'm serious about this. There's two little girls in a shopping center, and there's a white girl and a black girl, and the white girl said they were both in Elsa dresses, and the white girl says to her mum, "Hey mum, look, it's my twin."
Yeah.
And they were like, if only the world could see, through this little girl's eyes. She didn't see color; she just seen Elsa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how we're born to see.
It's to see, like, you just see as it is.
Everything else is learned, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool way to grow up. I guess what we want to know about that, what are some of the things that you've taken away from being a kid, like just generically? We'll get more into the money stuff and that later on, but growing up like that, we've just talked about, the multicultural and not having no sort of race issues or learning to leave things behind. What else did you take away from growing up that way? What did it shape you to that you brought into today?
I guess, well, for me, family was always important because I was an only child, and so it was just the three of us sort of just traveling around the world together, and then our family would come out and visit us, and it was always cherishing that time with the family, and I think obviously that bond became strong, and obviously that's not the same for everyone, but for me that became really important. And I think the most important thing was that, it's not, and I probably didn't realize this what I was learning at a young age, but on reflection, what it would be was that it's not so much about the location where you are, but it's how you perceive it and the attitude that you go to. So I remember, especially when we went from Malaysia to Gibraltar, it was worlds apart, the culture, and it was sort of Malaysia where we got really looked after, and you get used to, that sort of lifestyle. Then we went to Gibraltar where it was just the polar opposite, really. And at first we were it was like a culture shock at first, but then I remember as a family, we just flipped it around, even from the next day, changed how we were viewing it and perceiving it, and then just made a really enjoyable, life for ourselves there for the year and a half we were there, when maybe we could have just, kicked up a fuss and complained and been negative and be like, nah, this is rough. You know what I mean? Like, and it was all, and I realized from that young age that it was all about how you perceive things, not necessarily about what's going on in the external world, but that internal perception of it.
That's a crazy life lesson to learn early, bro.
Was there something that made you change? Like, were you always like that, or were you a bit like, this is shit for a bit, and then did something happen to make you change, or?
I guess it was following the example of my parents.
Yeah, okay.
Because and it's probably only realizing that's what it was in the past few years. Because when you're young, it's just the norm of what it was.
Yeah.
But when you start looking back on your, why you do certain things and how you behave a certain way, you start thinking back to your childhood. Oh, maybe that's why I was like that. And that's definitely something I would have taken from my parents. Is they just, we're put in a situation. It was like, yep, just get on with it.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Make the most out of it. Enjoy it as much as you can, and then you reap the rewards of that. So
we have conversations like that with nearly everyone. Even Ryan and I have had real big conversations like that. And everyone's different in the way they find it is what it is. But everyone we have on, or anyone that we know that's going well, and I know it's a simple, it is what it is, but it's more so the meaning behind it than what you say.
Yeah.
But anyone that's got to that stage in their life, they've started to reap benefits based off of the fact that you can't change what's in the past, and fucking
you can't control it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just deal with it.
100%.
And yeah, like that's starting to become. I think we really want the audience to see things in common between yourself, Arlene, us, our perception. We've got a few good guests coming up as well, and I reckon that's going to be the number one thing. Like, in my opinion, I feel like what's going to happen is all of these people are going to look and they're going to go, oh, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. But the problem, and they're going to go, whatever, these blokes don't know what they're talking about. But when you watch 15 different people say the exact same thing in a different way, it can then resonate.
Yeah.
I've got a twitch in my eye. Fucking, I just started.
It is what it is.
Can you control it?
Yeah.
No,
Charles smells really good today, by the way.
Scratch the screen.
Scratch and sniff on the screen.
So you talked about, probably the biggest thing I've heard today, which was pretty cool. Apart from that, that's a commonality, but something that was good. You talked about the doing the study, and then your mindset changed about, I can't live like this. I'm not happy about this. When what was the thing? What was the catalyst behind that? And when exactly was that? And why do you think that was?
It's funny because it sounds funny recounting the story and what I think the reason is for it now, but it was really around the time of Conor McGregor's rise, when he started. And it was just looking at his story and just how he was, talking about how he was living a life that was expected of him, got a trade like a plumber, and he was working on this job site where he just looked around and thought, this just isn't for me. And I remember and because of just what he was doing in the sport at that time, and the sport was so new to me, I got really interested in his story, and I'd be listening to his motivational videos or his talks, and then I'd go to my uni classes, and I'm looking around at the people in my classes, and it's no disrespect to the people in my classes, but it just...
He's thinking I'll smoke all these motherfuckers.
I get that. I get exactly what you're saying. I get that. I've been there before.
And you just start going, this isn't... I don't see myself... You start looking ahead to the future of, okay, imagine 20 years down the line, I've worked in this industry, I've and I remember at the time or around that time I'd been working with a lawyer he had a small practice, and just going in there I used to just dread going into the chambers and what the atmosphere was like in there. It was just a weird atmosphere that just didn't feel, it wasn't a positive environment, I didn't feel. And compare that to when I went to my gym, Evolution Gym, and I just loved going there. Everyone was happy to be there. That was a part of their day that everyone looked forward to. And I was looking at different people that had followed their dreams in this fighting world, and you could see they had no regrets about it. They were just pushing towards it, and they were excited, and they woke up every day with a passion and for life. And I just thought, we've got one life. And I think that moving around when I was young and doing different things and being in different cultures gave me the confidence of just being able to try new things and be like, well, I can just do this. And then if it doesn't work out, I'll be fine. I'll just go and do something else anyway. So I thought, yep, I'm just going to give it a go.
Were you a brawler as a kid, buddy? Did you have blues growing up? Like, were you one of those people that you sort of knew you could throw them and that's why you wanted to try kickboxing, or you just liked the look of the sport? Because that's, to me, I'm like, if you've never thrown a punch before and you go, you've studied a law degree and you go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to be a kickboxer. I'm like, how did you do that? Did you have a love for the sport? Like what was it?
No, that's the funny thing. It was one of those things where when I was younger, I wasn't confrontational. I'd always consider myself to be street smart. Like I knew if there was something about to break out, I knew how to avoid it, and I didn't want to get into those confrontations. In sport, I was always aggressive. Like I'd always
competitive.
Yeah, competitive and play hard. And sometimes that would boil over, but it was like when I'm off the field, it's just like calm and relaxed and wouldn't really get into any.
They're the ones you gotta watch, bro.
Serial killers.
They're the ones you gotta watch, bro.
The sociopath.
100%. The people that cannot love to fight but understand it's a sport and a progress and follow strict guidelines in how becoming better. Like a lot of people that fight, they fight because they love to fight because they want to hurt someone or they want to protect themselves, and there's like a vested interest before they choose to take to fight. Whereas with you, you're like, fuck, this looks fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could learn this.
Yeah.
And being pro, how long have you been fighting?
So I started training 4.5 years.
Well, that's a pretty short time though. Like a lot of people fight growing up. They might not be in a boxing gym for 5 years. They might have had 20 fights before they've gone there and then become pro. It's a big difference, I think. That's pretty cool.
I think, and how I describe it to people is because when I made that decision when I was 20 to start doing it, it was straight away. I had that purpose, and then I was all in on it. And it was like, give up drinking, give up, going out partying, doing whatever, give up, things that I felt like were leaving or holding me back, because I did have a relationship I had a relationship going into it, and just because of how much I dedicated myself to it, it just we started going different roads, and I've been single ever since. But it's when
we'd be living a good life now. Fighting, lean, tanned, Tommy accent, fucking beard. You'd be having fun.
Smell good.
Knock people out for fun and get paid for it, and then go home.
Yeah, there's a big thing there though, because I had a lot of mates with the footy growing, and you would have the same with footy mates growing up, and especially when I was older when the Conor McGregor era started, but a lot of my my mates, younger brothers and stuff, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna live on the dole and try and pursue this fight career, right? Because that was Conor's story. But I always thought so many people do that, but there's a point there's a point that people have to realize that that's not for them. Like they can't do it. Where obviously you've already you've gone pro already, you've done really well, and you can make something of yourself from. Where there's so many people that stay amateur forever, or they'd be losing and they keep grinding at it.
Yeah, but a lot of those dudes too, they take that route because they don't like Conor McGregor's story is one thing, and I'm sure you agree. He didn't take the easy route, but he didn't go, I'm on the dole, I'm going to be a fighter, and then sit at home and think about being a fighter. And a lot of these other dudes go, Conor was on the dole, he can be a fighter, so can I. But they don't put in the same thing.
But I watch and I see him, I go, geez, like you need to go get a job. Like, this ain't working out for you. Especially with footy. A lot of footy players, they'll play they'll do Harold Matts and they'll do Jersey Flag, but then the next level they're just grinding away at first grade local, getting paid $100 a game, but they keep pursuing it, right? Where did you see, like, what was the thing when you gave it a crack? Was there a point where you were like, no, I can do this?
Yeah, so I think the thing with the Conor McGregor thing, and then when I made that decision to pursue it, it was kind of the understanding and the belief that I had was that if you, like you said, it's Connor didn't just sit there and do nothing about it. He made sure that he was always going to make it no matter what. You know what I mean? He'd made that decision that no, this is what I'm doing. So for me, it was the same. It was, I'm making this decision that this is what I'm going to do, and nothing's gonna stop me from doing it. So, but obviously, in saying that, when I was, after each fight and I was doing better and improving, and then sparring people that were, more experienced, I was doing well, and then sparring with this person and I was doing well with them. Then you start realizing, oh, I can do something with this. Yep. But it never felt like a surprise because I'd always had that. No, this is what I'm going to make it happen no matter what.
I don't care in every sport, there has to be a genetic trait, right? Like I couldn't go, no matter how hard I work, I can be the next best basketball player. Not going to happen, right? 5 foot nothing. Yeah. So there's got to be something there. So you were good at it and you kept going, but some people will pursue something that's not there, but it's good that it worked out and goes from there. What would you say to people because it's hard, right? Like you're starting something that's scary, or like it's you're going down this route that's risky as all hell. How did you get through the hardest? How did you what did you actually do to make the dedication? Like what, rather than just I'm gonna do it and fall off, how did you do it?
I think it was one of the most important things was seeking out people that could help me get there, and building that team, because I think I don't know if it's pride or whatever it is, but a lot of people they'll try and do things by themselves. But I think if you find a few different people with the same vision and believe in your vision, you're going to be able to manifest that so much quicker. So for me, I was lucky going to Evolution Gym. I feel like my coach Adrian is one of the best striking coaches that no one's heard. You know what I mean? That not many people have heard of, and hopefully we'll change that in the future. But he's also very open-minded and the sort of person that when I could go to him and say, oh, I want to turn pro and do this, it wasn't like, oh, well, no, because you've only just started and, there's all these things holding you back. It was like, okay, let's see what we can do to make this work. So because I had started building this network of coaches and like-minded people, it helped me become dedicated to it. And I think it's just being disciplined with things. I think also another thing I probably got from my parents as well is growing up with a father that's in the military. You learn discipline from a young age, and you see both mum and dad work really hard, and they're disciplined in what they do, and so I was blessed in that I got to witness that from a young age of just discipline and what hard work can get you. So then when I decided what it was that I wanted to do, I had that example set for me, and I could be like, well, it's only letting myself down if I don't dedicate my all to it.
You're a little bit different to our other guests that we're getting on. Like you'll probably be the youngest we get. And I think the reason we did choose to grab you is because when we spoke to Arlene had pretty much said that, when I spoke to her, she said the guests that we were trying to chase, like the people we were looking at to change the way they perceived life, we were trying to grab these 20-year-olds and say, listen, if you think about it now at 20, you can do it by 25. We didn't do it till 20. Ryan was a little bit younger than me, but I'm 31 now. 28, I started making the right decisions, and in 3 years, excuse me, my whole life's changed, right? So what we want to do is you want to grab kids at 18, 19, 20 and get them to do what you've done. You've sort of done it without us. And I think to me, what I just gained out of that, when Ryan just said to you, how did you change your perception, or how did you do what you did instead of going, oh, bash people, which a lot of people at 24 or 25 years old will do, you instantly said, I gauged the team. I went and grabbed the team, and you
took the professional mindset.
And just handed off a lot of you must have busted your ass for 5 years to get to where you are, but at the same time, you understand you couldn't do it by yourself. And I think that's a lot of the issue in life. Like I went through life till I was 28 or 29 years old, and I never made a decision that didn't benefit me. And then once I, started realizing, I started making decisions to benefit other people, my life prospered. Once I started taking advice from people who I respected and believed were better off in life than me, that my life prospered. I think you learned that 10 years younger than a lot of people, bro. So that's a big thing. Like, I think that's massive.
No. I think it's because it's that saying, isn't it? Who you surround yourself is
the average of the five.
Yeah, exactly. And And you see it so like at different stages of my life when I surrounded myself with different people, and I just saw, and even just subconsciously, you just see who you end up becoming from it. You know what I mean? So I think once like you said, once I realized that building that team became so important, and it's because it's just giving me that guidance. Like I think the person that I see myself as being is someone that I know that I'll always find a way. Like whatever challenge is given to me, I'll be able to, find the solution. But when you've got, 5 what I consider to be brilliant minds around you to help power that as well, it just shoots that
catapults.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that I think the people you have around you are so important, and then you can just never thank them enough because they're dedicating their time, their energy, and their finances just to help you
to invest
succeed.
in you. Yeah. Hang around 5 millionaires, become a millionaire. Hang around 5 idiots, become an idiot.
Yeah. The cool thing is though that I love that you finished your degree.
Yeah.
That's amazing because I always say to athletes, because one of my niche markets is athletes as well, is what I do. And one thing I always say to them is you've got to understand that most athletes, unless you're a golfer, golf is pretty much the only one that
tennis is starting to go a bit longer now.
Yeah, but they're painful, man, bad knees. Is that it's an opportunity. Like the athletic career that you've got, there's an opportunity to make the most of it while there. It's not really. Dana White said it like recently. He's like, this is an opportunity run. This is not a career. You got 10 years like before you're getting sore. The best part about you is you can utilize that, but then you've backed yourself and done enough with your degree and stuff that realistically, if you wanted to, you could keep coaching, whatever. You got another backup idea that you could layer on top of this opportunity to for bigger things long term, like that could take you into sports management, and they could take you into just having a niche market with athletes or whatever, you know what I mean? Because obviously fighting's not going to go forever.
No.
It's getting harder as well. I think it's getting harder to go long because people are better fighters. So
athletically, it's changed. Hey, the fight. Athletically now.
DC said the other day, he goes, when I fought John Jones the first time, DC was 31 and John was like 25, and he goes like, what is he, like 42 or something now? He's like, he goes, I can't fight it. Like, I'm not fighting again. I just can't.
You look at people too. You look at like Lucas Brown. Like Lucas Brown, he didn't fight. Like he was still working at the Fiddler as a bouncer. I don't know, 26. I don't know. I can't remember the age, but he never boxed, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong. But athletically, people are prolonging their careers, but it still stops. It still comes to an end. Lucas is Australia's best ever heavyweight. The bloke makes no money. Like there's no money in it for him. It's hard. As an athlete, you got to get lucky. Don't get me wrong, you got to bust your fucking ass harder than most, but you got to get lucky too, bro. You got to get a sponsor.
Australian sport's hard with the finances because you can't lie. Like you need money to get your coaches. Like we had Arlene on last week talking about sponsorships and stuff, and like this fight camp for Cyborg is going to cost a heaps. Like she's got to pay coaches their salary.
It's fucking crazy.
But so you can't do the Conor McGregor story just there. Like you, because I know you coach still, yeah? Like you still coach. So that's paying your way, getting you through. You probably got the sponsors. You've got City Cave in there. I've got to try this City Cave.
Oh, it's good.
What's City Cave?
The float centre at Castle Hill.
Okay. Arlene go there as well? She goes to another one?
No, she does the cryo.
The cryo. Yeah, right.
I was going to try that. Looks.
I don't know if I could lay there for that long. That's fucking bored with the shit out of it.
You fall asleep and shit.
You'd be surprised. I like doing it for visualization. So I'll go in there and like relax myself, and then just start like visualizing, like especially before fight. I mean, I do one.
Start putting holes in the cage.
The place is smashed up. But yeah, and just
it's like meditation, really.
Because basically what it is full sensory deprivation. So the water's heated to your body temperature. I can't remember how much salt's in there, but there's so much salt that you float on the top of the water. Fully dark room, fully soundproof. So literally what happens is you literally just become like your mind.
You're floating.
A floating consciousness, yeah.
I would be that claustrophobic. I would be like,
this one's a full room, probably like this size, and it's got a bath in there.
But it's dark, yeah?
Yeah, fully dark.
See, I'm really like floating in the middle of the air in the dark. I'm like, fuck this, I'm having a drink.
You should put like luminous
back at fucking Park Life 2011 on an acid tab or something. No way am I doing this. Fuck that. I see him. In Port Macquarie, there's this new one there. It's the only one there. And I was watching, like, fuck, I've got to try that out. I can't bring myself to do it, man. I tell you, it's a thriving business. They're starting to pump. They're going.
Joe Rogan made him very famous.
But then when Joe Rogan used to talk about it, I used to I felt a bit nervous before I did the first one, but then as soon as I lay in there, I just felt so relaxed, and because supposedly what it recreates is like being in the womb. Yeah.
Oh, really? Is that what they're trying to do?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, it gives you that full.
We're going to have to take a GoPro in and film a podcast in one of these things just to see how it goes.
You're full naked. You can't be taking that box.
No drama. Just fucking film waist up.
That's the OnlyFans account.
Finally, something someone would pay for, eh?
Yeah,
These people selling only fucking fans pages and they're posting the same photos as Instagram.
Genius.
Fucking hell.
All right, so let's talk about, so the whole idea of the podcast is turn the hindsight into foresight, right? So we'll go into depth on the different topics, but let's start just generically. If you look back at, your life, what are some things that you can immediately think that you'd love to get back and tell yourself to change that would get you to where you want to be faster? Even though you sound like you've been pretty all over it.
I feel like it's, there's definitely things I could change, but then I always think I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever happened when I was younger is what led me to who I am today. And I'm happy to say I'm fully confident and happy in who I am. So I'm grateful for all those experiences. But I guess one thing that you could always do is, I feel like you've got to make the mistakes to learn the lesson, but maybe to be aware of, because the self-awareness I have now, it's like if I make a mistake in the day,
you're conscious of it, yeah?
Yeah, and then I journal every night, so then I'll write about that mistake, and not to beat myself up about it, and I try not to, but it's just what have I learned from that mistake, and then how can I improve on that the next day? So if I could bring that self-awareness to when I was younger, I probably would have sped up the process a lot quicker, because there's things that I'll look back on that I did when I was 15 and be like, oh, that's what that meant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, to our audience watching, once we do start getting a bit of a larger audience, that's what you want.
Yeah.
This is what you want to like. So our audience is ultimately, we aim at 18 to 25 and change them and fast track their lives.
Yeah.
You're nearly the epitome of what we want people to understand. So, and don't get me wrong, you've still got a long way to go.
Yeah,
like in your mind, you're not finished, and we say that a lot. But to be able to be so conscious of what's going on in your life at 24, 25 years old, man, that's a massive, massive achievement. And like I know successful people that are 40 years old that weren't conscious of what was going on until 35.
Yeah.
Really, really successful people that go well. And I think mindset and mind state for your like mental health, for the way you sort of go about yourself, that is you're probably the healthiest person I've met mentally that I've known. Just being having the capacity to understand what goes on. Because I say that to Ryan, I'm very unconscious at certain times. Like, oh, don't get me wrong, I'm okay and I go quite well in life, but there'll be certain weeks where I haven't thought about the consciousness of anything I've done that week until after. I'm like, what the fuck was I doing that week? I've just done nothing. It's just been unproductive, Whereas with you, you're like, I'm journaling every night. I'm like, fuck, this kid.
Yeah, and I think what you said, you got to. This is a commonality with guests as well. Is we learn from our mistakes, right? We're all here for, and what we're trying to do is just trying to pass on, get some people to learn from some of our mistakes, so they can skip that process. Because like if we talk financially, for example, which we'll get into, like going into debt, heaps of people learned that lesson that you don't need to learn that. If you can learn that from someone else, that's not a lesson you need to learn, right? But it might stop them from going into too much debt or whatever, and health as well. Partying in your early 18, 19, 20, not sleeping for 4 days. Yeah, there's a lesson we learned there, but maybe I could have learned that a bit earlier, or spent, living the life a bit. Like when you're younger, you live the life for probably 2 years too long. Like little things like that. So we want them to learn their own mistakes, but we want to try and highlight some things they could maybe learn from us a bit earlier. Yeah. Is there anything overall? Do you want to go into the topics that are a bit more specific, try and outline stuff? Yeah,
maybe go into the topics. It might give a bit of help me laser in on it.
Cool. So we talked before about our triangle to happiness. So we've got we developed this triangle to happiness, which is money, living, and health. So backseat. So balancing those three things. Money isn't the goal and never is, but it provides the stability to have everything else. To stay on track. You don't need all of it, but you need enough to do what you want to do. Living, what's the point of having all the money in the world or all the health if you're not having a good time? So you got to make sure you balance that living. And then health. You can't enjoy your money and you can't enjoy your life if you don't have the health. So there's three things we talk about. So we'll start with with money. Talking about hindsight, what are some of the big lessons you've learned with money over your, you've only really been in the workforce for less than a decade, probably?
Yeah.
So
got my first job at 17.
Yeah, so these are lessons. Any lessons you pass on are good, fresh ones.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? What for you? If you could go back to, it could have been last year, it could have been this year, it could have been 5 years ago. What are some things that you could pinpoint now that you get? Yeah, I wish I'd done that a little bit differently.
Yeah, so I think for me it's all been about. And when I thought about this question before, it was linking it all back to what your purpose was. So I think. For me, it was like I've had jobs where, like I said, when I was working in the legal chambers or working in whatever it may be, the classic uni jobs.
It was fans.
Yeah, I got my fan club waiting for the autograph signing. But I had jobs where, and I'm not saying that they were like massively high paying jobs, but they were things that I didn't want to do, and I was literally just doing it for the money,
for the cash.
Yeah, and there was no passion behind it. So it was, to me, it felt like a waste of time. And then because there was no purpose with where I was going, what was I doing with that money? It wasn't directed towards a purpose. It was just like, all right, I've just done this job for 8 hours that I don't enjoy. Let's go out drinking for 8 hours and spend double what I just made.
Yeah. That's a fucking good point, eh?
I like that because I always say to my guys that we sort of get caught up with the whole Gary Vee era and all that stuff about you've got to work for your passion, but there are some passions that you can't earn $1 with, and you got to survive, right? So you just nailed it because you found something that you can do that you love and earn from, but you also said you weren't working in your passion, but you also weren't supporting your passion. You were doing, and so it's important because some people, it might be travel or something, you know what I mean? But you've got to, if you're working to support your passion, that's okay. You've got to understand if what your passion doesn't earn money, but you've got to figure out. You've got to be supporting that passion either via work or by what work provides, which is the money.
I think what I took out of what you just said, you hit the nail on the head. If you're not enjoying your 8 hours a day, what do you want to do? The minute you leave work, what are you looking to do? You're looking to release. You need some. Whereas with us now, like Ryan loves what he does. Passion for what he does is second to none. It's why he's good at it. And with me, I've found a way to like. Potentially, like I own art businesses, right? I'm not an artist. I've never painted anything in my life.
He's a bullshit artist.
Yeah, fucking work. Hey, got me weasel me way in that. Look, so we own some franchises between me and my missus and some business partners. And what I found was that I love to run the business. I love to be the front of the business. I love to be able to do stuff like this and have conversations with people like you, or be able to go to say Bella Vista, for instance. Say I owned one locally to Bella Vista. I could come here, spiel my business to these guys, have conversations. I figured, I was like, this is what I'm good at. I'm good at this. I love it. I'm a plasterer by trade. When I was plastering, exactly what you said, I go to work. I work 12 hours, no dramas. I could take it on a Saturday. I could make 1,500 guaranteed. Sunday, no money. No money.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, fuck that. I just worked 12 hours. Now I'm entitled to put it all back in the Queen of the Nile. No dramas.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want with it. But that's a fucking good point. That's a good point.
I think the like going off of that point as well, like I know so many people that are working jobs, that are considered to be successful jobs where they're making good money, but there is no passion, there's no enjoyment for that, and it's
find that balance.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's that sort of thing. Chat to people and be like, oh, I've had a massive week, I need a holiday. But it's like after I've had and it's not like trying to be like, oh, like I'm doing the right thing or whatever it may be, but after I've had a fight, the only thing I want to do is like, I'll have a couple of days off and I want to be straight back in the gym, improving again.
But it's important as well. Like on the other side, I've met a lot of clients or prospects that do their passion. Artists, like a classic one, people like artsy people, and they don't make no money and they're just as miserable.
Yeah.
Because they're doing what they love, but they can't survive.
Yeah.
So you've got to find that.
It has to be like a happy medium.
You have to be able to survive first and foremost, and then build on your passion there. And I think you found that, like, you found that balance. And I think, but I think being able to have that legal degree behind you as well, like not dropping out of your legal degree is huge because you have options. So when time gets tough, if times did get tough, and because coaching wise, you've got to have people coming through the door, right? Like. If times got tough, you have a fallback, where a lot of people don't have that. You know
what a lot of people don't understand is too, like you've said you've got no passion for law, right? But a law degree You walk into a job with 5 other dudes without a degree, you get the job, regardless of what you're applying for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and what it shows, it shows, one, you've sat here and told us it wasn't your passion, you didn't like it, and you still managed to get through it. That shows dedication to the fact that you started something, you're going to finish it, which to me is massive.